Last week on Thursday, former Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe said he never thought current President Emmerson Mnangagwa would turn against him. He was referring to his ouster last year in November that saw the rise of Emmerson Mnangagwa to presidency. He criticized the country's new leader, saying he is in power illegally since his removal from power by the military was a military coup. To undo what he called a disgrace to Zimbabweans, he called for a dialogue with President Mnangagwa. His statements, however, sparked anger within the ruling ZANU-PF party, which has threatened to strip him of immunity and privileges he enjoys as former head of state.
Indeed, Lynette, in response to Robert Mugabe's view that he is acting illegally, the current Zimbabwean head of state has preferred not to engage in a verbal confrontation with his predecessor. Emmerson Mnangagwa nonetheless declared that Zimbabwe has turned the Mugabe page. We must continue to focus on preparing for free, fair and credible elections in 2018, the head of state continued.
Well, several Zimbabweans have reacted to Mugabe's recent statements, including war veterans in the country who were once his fiercest supporters. Victor Matemadanda is the current Deputy Minister for War Veterans and Secretary General of the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association. He joins us now from Harare, Zimbabwe. Thank you very much for joining us in the program today. So, former Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe said current President Emmerson Mnangagwa is illegitimate. What's your take on that?
For him to say President Mnangagwa and his government are illegitimate, he is not supposed to tell the ordinary people if he has got any complaint, he must go to court, because courts have been approached and have pronounced that the takeover or the installation of the current president was legal, and because of that, he is a legitimate leader. But even without that, what is morality? When the people say they no longer want you in their entirety, then that means you cease to be a leader. You saw on the 18th of November that people from all walks of life, Zimbabweans, white, black, colored, people of all political persuasions, came with one voice in support of war veterans to say Mugabe must go. And that alone was a message enough to legitimize the installation of the new leader, because we cannot have a country that has got a vacuum in leadership as it had become during the absent Mugabe. Mugabe was not absent in the physical, he was absent in the mental.
And we have seen in the past few days he seems to be supporting the National Patriotic Front opposition party. Does he have support from this party?
You know, Mugabe is Flores in the first instance. He is not ZANU, he is not ZAPO, he is Flores. And he took leadership of ZANU by default. But anyway, we did it. We thought he was going to reform, he never reformed. And for him to support the NPF, it's not a new thing. NPF is G40. He created G40, and he has got every reason to support G40. Our argument over the years was that Mugabe was the author of the G40 cabal, and the world and the nation can now prove, because he is following the G40 in whatever form it becomes. It has changed from G40 to NPF, but it's still the G40. He formed it, he's not supporting it. He formed it, he's the father of NPF. But the same NPF is the party that destroyed this economy. It is never going to get any sympathy from the people of Zimbabwe. It won't.
And you're one of the people who were jailed and harassed by Mugabe when you were calling for Mnangagwa to take over. So how do you feel now that you're in government as the Deputy Minister for War Veterans?
When we fight in a revolution, we don't fight for an individual. We fight for revolutionary principles. This is what we want to achieve. The fact that Mnangagwa is the current president, that is according to the order of seniority of the revolution. It was supposed to be like that. But when we wage a revolution, we do not wage it for individuals. We wage a revolution for the achievement of the aspirations of what set up the revolution or the armed struggle. So if you want, we want the president to do what the people expect him to do. What those that helped to liberate this country, the orientation, the aims and objectives of the liberation struggle is what we want him to accomplish.